you end up getting the second pick. Then you can get your bottom duo together. The first pick goes over the other side, and then you have blue side with a strong 2v2 lane that allows your jungler to play through that. So that's why blue side is being picked a lot right now, because you get the side selection and you get that 1-2 punch.
Yeah, it does feel very strong. Also, you get the ultimate counter pick as well on top of that. So you get the 1-2 punch for the bottom lane, but also you're able to potentially get a good matchup either for mid or top. Or sometimes jungle. You know, sometimes we do see jungle picked towards the end, but generally not the case. As Bard and Karma going to be banned here against T1.
Yeah, even with KRX having first pick, they always prioritize Lazy Feels pick. And even with first pick, we've often seen like first pick Ezreal for this team. I wonder if that will be the case here once again. They've banned the Karma, but let's see what this final ban does look like here, as the Cassiopeia, which has also risen in first pick priority a lot, is also taken away. Ashe with some nerfs, but the buff to Doran's bow also helps her out a lot, and she's still incredibly strong. So no Ashe Seraphine here for T1. No Karma lane for T1, no Bard lane. So I wonder what they're going to get on their 1-2.
Yeah, it's all focused to the bottom lane in terms of the ban from KRX. Rumble still sticking around, and T1 has been one of those teams that is consistently banning Rumble. They might just take Lucian away and say, well, you can have Ezreal or Rumble, we don't care. Forgot about Varus, actually. So that definitely has to be the ban here.
T1 has recently given the Rumble over to Genji, right? That's the one exception recently to the rule. See if Rich wants to play this one here, or if they have Lazy Feels Ezreal on the mind. Notice the cameramen instantly go into Lazy Feel here because they're like, I think they're going to pick a bot lane pick. They go for the Rise with the Cassiopeia gone.
But they just...
Yeah, Rumble.
They just gave Rumble Lucian over.
Yeah. It's
what?
There. And...
Wolf!
I think you
What does it mean?
I think you probably do go for either the Rumble or a Vi pick here. I think if you're T1...
Or Melio, I guess.
Melio, I don't think necessarily you have to go, because I wouldn't expect LazyFeel and Ando to be able to find the right answer there on that bottom lane. But they will do this. And so Rumble Vi will actually go over to KRX as a result. And we end up having a very strong setup here for KRX after the Rise gamble. And now they have the Rise, so it feels pretty good. Faker will match with the Anivia, which is nerfed on this patch substantially.
Yeah, could also be played in the top lane. We've seen that a little bit. I think Kingdom played that recently, as he does. So, nice flex pick, but as you mentioned, I think generally you'll see it into the Rise.
Yeah, I mean, that's normally what it's picked for, but it is a good thing that you pointed out that we have seen a lot of flexibility with this in the past. So, bottom lane here for LazyFeel and Ando. You know, it's going to be tough. There's no Caitlyn anymore. The Bard and the Karma are gone, and you're laning into Lucian Melio. They might just ban Lulu as the final ban and say there's no Lulu opportunity here, even though Zeri is very strong on this patch. Could have been a pairing there. The Yunara also can somewhat go toe-to-toe with the Lucian Melio. And I think that is likely to be the case, and it might just force LazyFeel and Ando onto like Nico Ezreal here. You could also ban the Ezreal for comfort reasons and take that away from LazyFeel instead.
Yeah, it could be an option. Lucian and Melio together, as they're going to go for the Corki, actually. We have seen a bit of Corki Nami resurgence.
Right now, LazyFeel prefers the Ezreal, but like that was his old, almost like one-trick pick. He played it more than any other AD carry for so long. So another great choice here by T1. See where we're going to see this Anivia confirmed, but first a jungle pick, likely for Owner, as can go for the Lee Sin here if he wants to. Jarvan is still up this late into this draft, so that could also be an option here.
We have seen Nefiri into Vi sometimes, but also did get nerfed alongside of the Cyclosword nerf as well. We are going to see Cassante, actually, so...
Surprised to see that pick first, but I guess they want a little bit more information about what AD carry Owner's going to be engaging on before they lock the jungle in. And it looks like they had no intention of flexing that Anivia, even though we considered the possibility. And Yunara Lulu, looks like it's what's left. It's what's on the table since they left the Lulu up. I don't think you want to play an Ezreal lane here with the supports that are banned away. And this comp does do really well. It's got a lot of engage. In fact, I really like going Nautilus here. instead of Lulu and looking for the all-in opportunities with the Vi pick that they have already, just gives you so much more setup rather than trying to kind of lose less in a Lulu lane and look for engages. Like, Lulu follows up on Vi really well, but Nautilus just point and click.
Oh, Lee Sin here for Owner.
This is what I thought he'd be going to, very likely, just because it's Owner and this is the meta. Both Lee Sin and Nafir are getting changed a little bit on this patch, but not functionally too different. And the Wukong, a little bit less common, I think, in a draft like this because it gives you a lot less power in the early game. And you're still playing an Anivia, you're still playing a Cassante, right? So you've got the Lucian Milio that you can't play through very easily with the Wukong. And I'm quite surprised by this, actually. I do think it's one of the best jungle picks into Yunara specifically because it's really easy to get on top of her and stay on top of her since she only really has that one big dash.
Yeah.
But the early game can get a little bit weird, you know, with this draft here for T1. It's very much Lucian Milio is your power point, but it's hard to actually utilize it here into the Vi. That's much more powerful at level 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I do feel like, you know, if you kind of ignore the opposite side and all of the shutdown and lockdown that KRX do have, you get Lucian for a red-hot 80 carry player right now in Pays and Milio to back him up with Keria. This is the best duo lane on the patch, and we've seen it just take over games and destroy teams single-handedly, or duo-handedly, I suppose, with the Milio included. So curious to see how that Nautilus is going to get through the lane as well.
Yeah, I am as well. I'm also curious, maybe they just think they can win the 2v2 as a 2v2 or even 2v3, and the Wukong won't be as necessary there. Maybe they're just that confident.
I'll have to wait and see as we're ready. Let's hop into the rift for game number 1.
미니언들이 생성되었습니다.
Here we go, game number 1. As it is match 71. Very sad we we had our match 6-7 and it's gone now, but we'll have 7-6 at least. That'll happen this week.
True.
Let's actually take a look. That's actually KT Gen G, that one. So another great matchup. That includes Gen G.
We had 69, which was KT Hanwha, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
Some pretty good, nice ones coming across.
Yeah.
Moving into 70s, you know, gets a little bit less fun, but 77, lucky one? I don't know which one is that.
That's DKBNK KRX. So,
barrier trade?
It's also Saturday Showdown, just like 6-7 was, as it turns out.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, well, the Lucian with the Doran's bow start, actually. Pretty interesting to see. A little bit more attack damage, just +2 on that, on this patch, as the Space pointed out earlier.
You know, when you're double tapping people, you know, you get double the AD, right?
Yes.
Feels pretty good.
Feels very strong.
When you think about it.
Yeah, we've seen picks like the Ashe utilize this incredibly well. Vayne Top, also another big user of the bow start. And Zeri, occasionally utilizing it as well. This Doran is getting level 3 advantage up here on the top side. This early game, on paper, shouldn't be too exciting for T1 with the draft that they have. There's a lot more power in this Vi composition here for QMDRX, especially with the Nautilus they have as well for potential setup. Speaking of,
it's a nice hook, actually. Kind of got him through the minion wave, so pretty interesting angle there. UCal has been playing a lot of Rise. I think that's part of the reason why they pick it up alongside of the Cassiopeia ban, just to get him some big comfort on this pick.
Yeah, you can see the win rate on a lot of these champions is quite high for a 4-10 team. Like, these are really good champs for them. Rich is undefeated, 1-0 on the Rumble. So, you know, it's good stats to see. I think this comp is looking really good here for QMDRX. We'll see if the hands and the execution can back it up. As unfortunately, a lot of minions will be lost here for Lazy. Phil does get that last one at least. And a Cull purchase with refillable here for Pays to continue the pressure on this quick back.
Yeah. As we do see Willer maybe going to get in there in mid, but actually just backing away. Faker definitely known for trying to use his egg for aggression. using it for good rather than evil, of course. And, you know, he oftentimes does get a lot of value out of that, but...
That's a good throwback. That's a classic.
Just comes out every once in a while. Hawks even threw one in, I think it was last week, which was pretty good. As flash on in, Pays is ready to go, and guess what? Looking for UCal in mid as well. First blood already going to Owner, as he'll pick up the very early kill here for a Wukong, I'd say.
LazyField forced to flash in response here, does not die, but will be losing a lot of these minions as he goes for the back instantly. No interrupt on that because the Wukong was in the mid lane getting that early kill, picks up first blood. And this is kind of what I was talking about. Maybe you just win naturally in the 2v2 without jungle attention. They went for an early back where a lot of the time you look for a dive with your jungler on blue side with this comp. They go back, get a cull, push LazyField out in the 2v2 with a nice flash play there from Pays, punishing their Ondil. And then in the mid lane, see exactly how this went down. Looks like just a wall here. Lots of damage coming through. UCal flashes, Owner follows. Good wall from Faker.
Yeah. You can see the timing of the stun and the wall comes in kind of right before Owner, like right before UCal realizes Owner is there. Because if he knows Owner's there, he's going to flash the stun, right? But the second that the stun hits, Owner shows up and he's like, oh crap, I'm in a lot of trouble. And then he tried to go for the late flash, but did not work out.
I personally am a big fan of continuing to use Electrocute on Anivia for plays like this rather than the Deathfire Touch. Both are pretty good, obviously, for different reasons, but Electrocute's so valuable in short, bursty ganks like this. As level 6 is reached for Faker here, we do have, you know, a lurking Willer there in the mid lane, but Faker didn't flash for that kill in the mid lane, so he's relatively safe here with his passive available as well. So we did see a back here to grab a longsword and a moat here for Pays, so the CS actually evens out.
Yeah, I do wonder about LazyField's ability to play this lane once Pays decides to press his buttons, as you can see there. It's part of the reason why the Lucian is so oppressive. It's just the pure damage he can output without much recourse. As Owner's here, but he's on a ward. He's going to spot that one out. KRX going very aggressive for this as he's going to fire kick him away. Now the root comes in on a Pays and he just gets comboed down. Does not respect Willer's ability to get that flash Q in, and Pays will die.
So many things happening at once there in that bottom lane. They could see how Owner was reacting to the situation. Like the second they stepped back, he pressed his clear key. Like he opened his scryer because he was like, okay, well obviously they can see me. Clears the ward, and then he kind of backs away as Pays and KRX go in. But this is exactly what we're talking about. We talk about pre-6 jungle power between these two in the 3v3. It's always going to be Willers. He has the flash available here, so is able to get in there. KRX gets hooked initially while Owner is still clearing that ward, and there's nothing Owner can do to prevent this from happening, right? There's just absolutely nothing he can do. He's just a Wukong watching it, and it's tragic for him because he was in the right place, but his kit does not allow for any recourse there, and it is a dead Lucian. And suddenly, LazyField with a slight lead in the bottom lane.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes, you know, just having tons and tons and almost too much CC can really work out for you. You know, sometimes you fall behind, you're not really able to utilize it, but just having the Nautilus there to auto and then the Vi right there and a follow-up hook, like you get hit by one, you're going to get hit by all of them. As we're going all out in the top lane, Rich in a bit of trouble. Does have his flash, and he's just going to walk it off instead, so it's good that he does survive.
Yeah. Not going to commit any further here, Doran. Just will grab this overgrowth and then back out, using most of his mana there. Really, that moment there for Ondil is why I really like this Nautilus pick. It's just so powerful in these types of exchanges with a Vi. Speaking of, he has exhaust now, and he's looking for an angle. A bit far ahead, though.
Oh, here we go again. Hiding on bush is Doran, and now he is going to get the flash out of Rich. So Rich saying, oh, I guess the Cassante is gone. He wasn't gone.
Now, it's always the power of the Cassante there to force the flash. It's a reflex test there. If Rich doesn't flash instantly at the same time, he dies no matter what if Doran gets on top of him. So Doran kind of walks towards him and says, guess what? I'm saving mine. And Rich has to flash to respond. Really clean play there from Doran to get the punish. And Ondil wasn't able to turn that push into anything despite the wraparound we saw moments before. LazyField had level 6, but didn't have an angle to all in that Ondil was searching for. And both supports are getting closer to their big ultimates here, so we might have a little bit more attention as Willer is coming down. But I don't think this is the wise time to try to set up a dive. And think being happy with being even in this lane as a Yunara is exactly where QMDRX want to be right now.
And it's really all you can hope for or ask for at this point. You also consider, you know, the two ults of the Vi and the Nautilus, both uncleansable, right? They're just kind of, one's a knock-up, one I think is a suppression. The Vi, either way, you're not able to get out of that with Emilio, right? So it does feel like kind of stacking two things to deal with what they knew on paper was going to come out here with the Lucian and the Emilio. Kind of like the idea from QMDRX.
Owner's going to get these grubs, which are really strong, actually, I feel, for the Rise composition almost more than they are for T1, but just good in general for anyone to have. And because the Dragon went over to QMDRX, it is important for him to get something back in return on the other side of the map here. And he is not on vision. Like, they don't know where he is, but they're going to find out very soon. It's kind of been a timid passage of play here for Will recently. Now they know.
It's just in a lot of trouble. He doesn't have his flash here. The Cyclone comes in. Owner just flashes to make sure that he can pick up the kill. And yeah, just unfortunate timing there for Rich.
Yeah, poor Willer, like he just wasn't doing anything to prevent this or to contest the grubs. He was just kind of passing through his own jungle, farming it out. Owner was making a proactive play and should be able to secure the final grub after this as well. As he dropped it to look for Rich, there's control vision in this brush. Cyclone second activation hits, he flashes, has flash advantage that Doran's conveyed to him from the last exchange. So all those small things add up. If he has flash there, he probably gets away, or at least has a little bit more wiggle room to do so, but not without it.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate for Rich to go down there. Does feel like, you know, with the Doran's helm change and the Cassante into Rumble matchup, and just the fact that it is Doran versus Rich, even though Cassante doesn't have a very high win rate, he's been slowly being played more, and now with the Doran's helm slight buff that he got, just feels like he's almost unkillable in lane.
Look at the vision that QMDRX have on the bottom side of the map. It's insane how much power they have there, which allows them to push with impunity here, and for Ando to keep fishing for catching someone in the jungle while Willer's coming over here. Barrier will be forced here by LazyField to make sure he can get the recall back, but like, this vision I've noticed has been a consistent thing from Ando in recent games. He just always sets up a line of it, no matter where, you know, where he is. If it's before Baron or before Herald, he often takes a trip up there and often even risks his life to set up that line of vision. He's been doing this very consistently. It hasn't led to any success here, unfortunately, but they'd get a lot of power, and denying some farm here on the bottom lane is absolutely a big win. Now let's see if Rich can survive this one.
Yeah, we got a TP coming in, but I think they just have the damage to kill Rich eventually as in comes Pays, and this rotation comes up. Ando's like, wait, I thought it was just two. And even though it is just the two hitting him at the moment, he is going to just buffer and get out, but isn't going to have much effect. T1 essentially giving over the second Drake to get Pays more money.
Yeah, let's see what the soul is, because this might actually not be worth it. Okay, it's Ocean Soul, feels very worth it. But still, comes at a trade-off, as LazyField is ahead pretty significantly on gold and is getting more plate gold all the while this is happening. The Rich Rumble being behind this far is a significant problem for the side of QMDRX, though, as well. I mean, they are behind everywhere else. This is going to be an opportunity in this pick comp when it gets to the mid-game for them to really try to accelerate and push for some early skirmishing power with this Yunara that does do well. Glutinous Greaves online here at 12 minutes. So we'll see if LazyField can do that thing he does, where he gets out of the laning phase and then kind of pops off. If you're a QMDRX fan, you're like, well, this is best case scenario that he's the guy who's coming out of lane stable, because he's our main character. In this draft, for sure, the Rumble Vi isn't going to be as potent as a combo if Rich is this far behind.
Yeah. One thing I do worry about for LazyField is that it's definitely going to take him longer to spike compared to just the Lucian, who can get one, even two items and just really make your day hell in the mid lane. Like, LazyField is, you know, he's on the Yunari. He got through the laning phase. He is going to be strong eventually, but do they get there? I think those two early Drakes can help them out, but what is the next Drake fight going to look like with T1 in a 2,000 gold lead and a Lucian that is at least online enough, even if he didn't, you know, absolutely wreck the lane.
My thing is, I think Owner has a huge role to play in these upcoming fights, especially this next Dragon fight, or potentially the Herald fight we have even faster. Because if no one peels for Pays, like he's got Emilio, but there's a lot of hard CC in this draft. If Pays dies first, if LazyField can burst him down with all that CC, then Faker can't kill LazyField, and if Owner isn't able to do it, then he just wins the team fight, even if he hasn't hit his big spike yet, because he's Yunara, and he's going to clean up, and he does a lot of damage. Rich is once again in danger, and that's
yeah. I mean, trying to save that turret was a pipe dream. I don't think that was ever going to happen, and then he sticks around long enough to also find out what it's like to get walled by the Anivia, especially as a melee champion without a dash. So just going to be forced to flash away. And there's the engage from Ondil. He's going to land the stun with the hook as they throw everything in the kitchen sink into Pays, but unfortunately, the follow-up was not quite there. That felt a little overforced.
Yeah, that I think I'd rather see on a team fight, right, where there's a little bit more follow-up, but that's exactly what I'm talking about when I say if Pays gets burst down. You know, the problem is Owner's going to show up here, though.
Yeah, LazyField has to flash away. And they get his flash right before the Drake is coming up, right before the Rift Herald is coming up. As second charge of Cyclone comes through, as Willer's just trying to posture here. We got a TP down to the bottom lane, and this one is out of Rich.
Now, UCal does have Realm Warp to try to maybe sandwich here, but I think they kind of missed up the window that they were looking for. And now Faker's just like, I'm chilling with TP up here, I don't really care. Herald is also the next objective, so having UCal running back to the top side here to catch that wave with all this prio here for T1, I don't think that Rich teleport really did them any favors, as Doran also still has TP. So, not, you know, of course, Rumble not known for stopping teleports if there was to be a fight,
yeah,
where they were going to be close like that. But I don't know if there is going to be one because there's just too much T1 top side control, and KRX are just not able to play the map as well. And it's because this Rumble has been kind of pushed down, and it's been every time, you know, T1 look for an opportunity on the map to like, well, it's the Rumble again. You know, he doesn't have flash. Let's go push him out, see what we could do. And because of it, you've seen this Faker's had such a free time. Speaking of, Rich, fortunately for Faker, is going to be on this side as well, as maybe a catch on Keria.
He's just going to flash. Better to flash, as Emilio especially, than to die. Even though I think if he dies there, he should get back for the fight, but maybe he wants to be out on the map and laying down wards and stuff like that. And of course, supporting Pays, getting some pressure in mid by staying alive.
Yeah, unfortunately for LazyField, he also doesn't have that gold lead anymore as he had before. He really needs there to be a big team fight win with a kill Pays. That's it. You can't do the same engage on the Faker. It doesn't work. He has egg. They have way too much support. This is a Wukong composition. Faker is going to be basically unkillable unless you kill Pays first. You can kill Faker if you kill Pays first. That's the rule. Otherwise, you're not killing this guy. Yeah. And in fact, he might kill you, as Rich is about to find out.
Yeah, Rich was making that very obvious that Willer was nearby. Faker's like, oh, okay. I see what's going on here. I'll just play this very defensively. And Faker was getting a little bit low on mana. That's really the only issue for him, is that he couldn't necessarily extend for a kill, perhaps, but he's still trading pretty well.
The Drake is live, and Willer is on it right now. TP is going to come through here for Doran first. UCal not here. This is a really awkward fight for KRX. He does have Realm Warp, and he's going to need to use it to get here if they want to contest. They could look for a punish here.
Yeah, this TP is from Faker, the ult out of Ondil, not nicely timed. It doesn't get the knockup there. Keria gets low, but that's just about it. LazyField buys Lonesome in mid. That's not how you want to play around your Yunara in this case, as KRX have been run around here, and now in the ult of the Anivia, just being chunked out as Pays comes over and begins to do tons of damage. A very one-sided fight to T1.
Yeah, I really think KRX have some angles with this comp, but that setup was not even close to it. As you mentioned, the Yunara is so cut off. UCal is basically not even in the fight, and he might be the last one to die in it if it's part of the fight. I guess you wouldn't really call this part of that fight, but he is forced to flash away, and the T1 are just like, cool, thanks for the dragon and the extra kills. As once again, I said it, like Faker, he's right in the front of them because he knows you can't kill this guy. He's so difficult to kill. He has passive, now he flashes instantly. But look at Pays. Uncontested. No engage onto this guy. He's got him, Emilio on top of him, right? And then when they engage onto him here, he just pieces out. By the way, there is no follow-up to kill him there, even if he doesn't get out, because Rich doesn't have Equalizer, and LazyField's on the wrong side of the fight. Yucal doesn't do enough damage. And Pays just gives Yucal a back massage here before they force him to flash. As Pays, that was really cool looking, very fancy, but I feel almost not even fully necessary in this fight for them to win it.
Yeah, it almost felt like, you know, I'm gonna do this because it's here. Let me just style on them and make them look silly. And
it's a reflex, right? You see a Vi ult on you, you jump in the Herald.
Yeah, might as well. And yeah, I do agree. I feel like KRX had some angles in this one. They even got through the lane pretty well, but now, I mean, you're down 5,000 gold as they're going pretty deep for this one. And yeah, you can combo your ults together, but where's the follow-up? As now we are going to have LazyField coming in. They take down Pays, and that's what you like to see, because they're actually able to put 2 and 2 together. Of course, Jordan was just top lane without TP, just pushing the wave. But at least they got that kill on a Pays.
That's, you know, the power of this comp, even 5,000 gold behind. If you link those combos together, you lock down that 80 carry, and Faker has to run. You know, he can't actually long-term carry the fight. He doesn't have the same damage. The Cassante doesn't either. This is, frankly, a pretty aggressive play from the side of T1 at this point, as Andil is dead in live. But look, they get on top of Pays here. There's no one to bail him out anymore. His owner's cycling on the wrong side of the fight. There's no peel. And so they get him. Really well played here, but in live, it feels like all of this just washes away as Andil is caught backing by Faker. Oh, he actually went for the dredge line. Yeah, greedy. Let's say that. Let's say greedy.
Yeah, as we have a TP coming in here on top of a Realm Warp. They're really trying to take down Faker, who is going to go into egg. Can they even take out the egg? Rich is going to try and fail. As owner picks up the kill. That'll be his 4th kill here on the Wukong, as he's 9 out of 9 for kill participation, as he has been everywhere this time around. Owner going to go pretty deep there, but gets a nice trade onto Yucal.
I think no one has told QMDRX yet. I mean, look, LazyField's not originally, you know, he's I guess he's always been in this region, but he's not, you know, an old school LCK player. He doesn't know about Unkillable Demon King. That's kind of in the name. You can't kill him. He has egg in this situation. They tried. Like, Rich, I know you come from another game, but you should know by now. It's the 2nd time they've tried to kill him in the beginning of a fight. And Pays is just like, I'm right here, and I'm going to kill all of you instead. And, yeah. Well, I think this game went off the rails a few minutes ago. And it's a little bit of a shame because I thought all the tools were there for KMDRX. As Faker, maybe this time he dies. Doesn't have passive here.
Yeah, trying to hide in a side lane and wait for Faker to come up here, which is generally where Faker likes to go. Nice little play from them.
See, Mauhaus, even Faker can be caster curse.
There's all the evidence you need right there. I feel like generally, you know, when Faker would die in that scenario, you know, they would look to push elsewhere, but actually T1 were just grouped in the top river, kind of next to Faker.
Yeah,
but not close enough.
He's immobile, doesn't have his passive. They didn't have a teleport to jump onto him there. Like, Doran wasn't going to commit that in this type of situation with too many QMDRX members. So it is a win, right, for QMDRX. They get the kill onto Faker, some money in their coffers, but, you know, there's no objective to take here. Faker will respawn. And he has TP as well. He's just going to go straight back to the top lane because Baron, where they already have a ton of vision, is where T1 are focused. Surprise, surprise. As that Dragon, which is only a 2nd ocean for them, is a lot less appealing at this moment in time. In fact, I think if T1 could get mid-prio, or if QMDRX try to start this Dragon, T1 are just going to leave the Cassante down here and probably try to take Baron in return. His Andil might just die.
Owner's just kind of going in, and it's going to soak up a lot of the damage, nearly takes out Andil. Doesn't have that depth charge just yet, so he's going to have to back.
Are used here before the Dragon spawns for T1. They end up getting control over the area, but even Doran committed his TP. I feel like this is kind of a net negative for T1 overall. They played that very differently than what I expected. But again, it's a successful play in terms of getting the map control. And now QMDRX don't even get to have that conversation about starting Dragon first. Willer has flash and ult here, but he is very outnumbered. Very, very outnumbered. Here comes a Realm Warp. He's trying to change that.
Yeah, they're just trying to reposition as they were kind of above T1 and now they're below with the rest of the team. Owner still on the flank. He's not actually in the pit just yet, but on vision here is Willer. Doesn't have his Q, and he's just isolated, has to flash away. Equalizer, pretty big though on that back line. Most of the damage though is only gonna hit Keria. And so that's gonna be the flash away from Rich as well. Willer not able to get into the pit as Doran is going very deep, trying to force this fight to continue, and he will be able to do exactly that as he does go down. But now actually a bit of damage going over to LazyField, gonna pick up 2, but straight into the arms of Faker. And Owner, as I said before, very fed and very much ready to party if you would like to. As they're looking for UCal, the stun comes through and setting up Faker very nicely. One more wall will get it done into the E, and Faker and Owner get it done together.
Yeah, Rich trying to set fire to ice there, but Faker will maintain his life. As fortunate for Willer, he's on vision here. Otherwise a pretty tricky spot. Like, his angle was cool if there was no ward there, but there was. Doran really sends it here, and I think if this game state was a lot more even, T1 might have just gotten crushed in this fight, because Doran actually puts himself in a position here after the LazyField fire kick doesn't really get any follow-up to just get blown up. And now LazyField is in free position, and FaZe is trying to push UCal. He flashed forward and burst him down, and now the damage is really, really low here. Faker is able to get his combo off, but man, if LazyField is in a position to actually avoid that, then I think they win the fight, right? But Faker plays it incredibly well, knows exactly what he needs to do there, put the wall up, burst down the Yunara, and they win the fight. And Rich is just not going to be able to do anything about it after that. It ends up being an ace. A little bit messy, like I said, but with the gold lead they have, they can kind of play it like they want. Faker, top damage in the game, 21.6k here on this Anivia, and saved the day by snapping up a flashless LazyField.
Yeah, feels pretty good for the side of T1. I mean, they have this really big gold lead, as this is going to be a bit on vision. In comes Willer, but he just gets fire kicked away. And now he's not going to be around for very much longer. Down he will go to FaZe, who picks up another kill. And the Realm Warp comes out from UCal. But yeah, T1 are very far ahead. Feels like some of these fights are a little bit closer than they have to be, but still feels like T1 is in control. And they definitely should be after picking up a nice Baron here at this point.
Yeah, pretty easy for them. It should be with the wave clear they have with this Anivia to put the push topside with the Illusion and then have those waves crashing into mid to get these 2 inners out very quickly and then start to threaten the inhibitor turrets, as we're even going to see a TP here from Faker as they'll leave Doran to mid and put this massive wave clear to the test right on top of this inhibitor turret. Clear these waves, let the Baron siege do its work. Waves just disappear.
Yeah,
I mean, eventually you see that Rich has to TP back into the play as he was pushing bot. Doesn't get a lot of value there. As he does come in, and this top turret is definitely gone, the inhibitor as well. The wave in mid at least is cleared for now, as T1 still tons of time here on this Baron. Might just go for a little reset and another push.
Just take a free reset here and go send someone mid. Thought they'd send Doran because he has teleport. Faker does not, but Faker has the better wave clear. Actually, it's going to be a group down here to push this one and then push mid out. But getting the one inhibitor feels great when it's the one that's on the opposite side of the map of the Dragon. You already have such a lead in this game. It's pretty hard to mess it up from here, but it does feel like T1 have really played this very textbook. And, I mean, LazyField can't really hurt Doran right now. Needs a lot more setup, a lot more time. So I'm going to leave him in the mid lane and just push this inner turret to basically leave all inners off the map. Inhibitors will be under threat at a moment's notice. So it gives T1, they just win one team fight. So many different angles to end the game. And there needs to be a response here. I mean, Rich does have his equalizer. May need to use it.
Yeah, it just feels like for Rich, you know, even if you do use it, maybe the cannon minion doesn't die, and then you don't have your equalizer for the fight. There's really no good answer for Kiev KRX at this point, other than trying to force a fight and layering some CC and damage. That's not exactly what I meant, Kiev, but nice try. As eventually T1 going to press their buttons and just roll their face over the keyboard. We got a triple kill here for FaZe, who is the pentakill king. As they're trying to hold this kill, UCal's like, here, take me. Quadra comes in for FaZe.
Pretty tough to kill Rich here with the completed back. See if they can do it.
Well, he's going to get walled down, and now just a bit more damage as the stun. Oh no, the shield nearly denies it, but it is still another pentakill for FaZe as he picks up 2 in the base.
Another penta for FaZe. T1 finished the game with it in pretty dominant fashion here. What a start here for this series for T1. The draft, I think, had some serious weak points, but KRX absolutely could not exploit it. Owner had an amazing game on the Wukong. Faker was pumping damage. And Rich was the weak point that they played through to get the massive advantage. Says our bottom is so perfect. The Faker sign there left. I guess it's child photos of Karika and FaZe. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, and I think it's a reference to the recent advertisements that he did with Karina.
I also made a meme with that on my Twitter with him pointing to FaZe's 90k damage on the Caitlyn. So
yeah,
I'm with you, fan out there. The bottom duo, pretty perfect right now. Faker was ahead of FaZe in damage for a lot of this game, but FaZe does in those final moments. Rocket ahead. I think back to the drawing board here for KRX. Execution of the draft was not always there. They had a few moments they were able to seize on, right? But otherwise, Owner just completely gapped Willer in this game, and the rest of the game is history.
Yeah, kind of felt like the laning phase was all right, and then once we hit mid-game, it was like, oh God, KRX, oh no. Please, let's fix that. Let's fix that one up for game 2, because they definitely need to if they want to have a chance to take down T1, as it is T1 1-0 here as we head into the break.
상사 가자. 네, 간다. 노텔 사사. 암래. 파이 도고. 펜타인데? 진짜로? 펜타래. 라이저. 야, 펜타다, 럼블. 럼블부터 잡을게요. 오케이. 아, 안 돼? 이거 잡지 말자. 라이저 가줘. 잡지 말자는 거야. 아, 나 진짜야? 아, 진짜 안 잡네. 잠깐만. 야, 럼블 오면 들어가자, 이거 진짜. 나 들어갈게. 진짜 감사하다. 럼블 집 누른다. 가자. 와드 하나만. 와드 하나만 하게. 나 줄 사람. 할게. 아니지? 먼저 줄게. 와, 진짜 이거 맞아? 진짜 감사하다 근데 이거는. 감사. 어깨 펜타 뭐냐?
Yes, there were some awkward fights in the mid game where it looked like T1 were kind of overpressing, but it's T1. A little bit of happy gaming there. It just felt like KRX couldn't really punish it at all, and hoping that game 2 is a little bit closer. Because I also wasn't there for the 6th gamer on Sunday, just like Ox, and it feels like we missed out a bit, Wolf.
Yeah.
And G-Sun too.
Yeah, I was there. It was great. So, for me, I'm like, it could be a 2-0. We'll see what happens.
Wow.
QM often bring us a 3, but we'll see if that happens here. We do see the Caitlyn ban pretty early on in this draft. See if they are going to ban Varus as well, or if perhaps there's a bit of an interesting angle for that one. It will be once again the Ashe ban. And I think T1 will likely ban Varus again, and then maybe this time Lazyfield goes for the Ezreal pick early. Oh, Varus is up. They're going to ban Jarvan instead. Now Varus is such a strong flex pick right now. I think it would be wise to get it, especially because if you first pick Ezreal, like, you're going to have problems with this. Even if it's Ezreal Karma, I feel like the Varus lane can do pretty well into this. Like, T1 are like, okay, They're just going to blind the Varus top. That's how confident they are in this.
Varus is giga broken. I feel like part of the reason why we don't see it scooped up here as first pick is, just to be honest, I feel like Rich isn't one of those guys that can really utilize the Varus top as well as some of our other top laners, such as Doran.
Now,
So,
like, now you don't even get Karma Ezreal because they just slam this like this. So I'm not sure what LazyField will end up with here. But, like, Karma Sivir, Karma Jhin, those picks are likely going to be banned in the second phase now that you've picked up the Lee Sin Annie, which is a strong combo in its own right. And you do need a lot of engage with this Karma pick, and the Annie can shore a lot of that up. We have also seen Keria play Ezreal support. I don't think that's happening in this case, but it would be very funny if it did happen again.
yeah. There is a world. Faker, he is smiling, which doesn't always happen, but when he is,
Speaking
you know,
of flexes,
is this bot lane for the
Skarner Ezreal incoming. Ezreal jungle for owner.
There
Varus
was a
Skarner.
time.
Yeah, there was a time, and no one enjoyed it.
Good old,
It was gone.
what was his name? Haru?
Yes, Haru was the guy.
From Genji.
So Sivir's gone. Jhin will follow, I think. And then we really have to see what LazyField's got planned here. As on the other side, what do you do? Like, it's really tricky. Do you ban Galio here? I don't think so. Really just have no idea what is... Okay, they say, like, yes, okay, I guess that's the only thing that comes to mind. It feels good into the Annie. Empowers the Varus top. It's great with Ezreal. Great with Skarner. But there's so much available here that Faker can play into the Annie that we've got the Galio. That one's the obvious one, but...
What if he plays Skarner mid?
Honestly, even playing Jhin into this comp looks so miserable and doesn't seem to work well with QM's comp at all. They're not even going to ban it. They're like, I don't like that. I don't want to deal with Yorick into our Varus top. I'm going to take that away instead. I actually like this choice a lot.
Rich
trying to
did
play
not
Jhin.
like that choice.
No. Rich was like, oh, I was kind of hoping I was going to get my hands on that one.
Yeah.
He may just end up playing a ranged top of his own. Of some kind, like a Tristana, but I mean, it's not going to be good. It's not going to have fun. Faker's just going to play Victor, which is also very strong on this patch. Don't let the loss streak and the LCK stats dissuade you. It is definitely pretty big in terms of what it does and its functionality, especially in a draft like this.
Victor, on that note, 1-8 so far.
That's why I said don't look at those. Okay.
Well, when you said don't look at it, what did you think I was going to do? Immediately look at it.
This is a thing that people keep saying to me when I say don't look at stuff. They're like, well, I'm going to look at it.
Yeah.
Like, but that's exactly what it commanded you not to do.
Don't look at the elephant in the room.
LCK...
He's definitely not, he can't hurt you.
LCK play-by-play is just not good at following directions. We're just going to go MF.
That's true.
MF Karma.
Very true.
MF Karma. I prefer the MF. But I let's see what they got. Is it Gnar? I don't think so. I think it's miserable. What else? Where's the other setup for the misfortune? It's got to be something. Camille into Varus? Sounds like a bad time, but
Yeah.
maybe desperate.
What's the frontliner here that you're playing into Varus top?
Jax has been one of the
Jax.
answers we've seen from a few top laners here on the rare occasion that Varus has left up. And it is good for setting up misfortune if you can get the backline. 100% win rate. I think it's like 2-0.
Wow.
As Keria, what are we cooking? Like, what are
No,
we
don't be
cooking?
fooled. He's playing Skarner support. Tom Kench?
Tom Kench Ezreal.
What year is it? That's so strange.
That is strange, but like Nico was banned, and they're playing into Karma, so
Tom's like, oh, I don't know about this one.
Yeah,
boys.
this is like you. I do think that even though I wasn't a huge fan of the Karma Misfortune as a setup here and what it does in this draft, it bonks basically everything that was left up for Keria to play here. I think they're just going to kind of sack this lane a little bit. Maybe we'll see a ton of jungle attention from the Skarner instead, and they'll be able to play through that, but it is going to be a really tough laning phase. Like, whenever you see a pushing lane into Tom Kench, you know you're getting a lot of gray health value, and you're going to just kind of get through it, and then you're going to be a big supportive catfish later for your double 80 carry and hyper scaling Victor comp, and it'll work out fine because Keria, if you guys have been living under a rock for like the last 5-6 years, is a really good Tahm Kench player. It's one of his most iconic picks, even though it's been out of the meta for a really long time.
Yeah.
For me, like second to his Thresh, really. Like I
remember his engaged Tahm Kench. There were a lot of games where it was like, you can't play Tahm Kench like that. Well, Keria made it so. And then Tahm Kench got changed and nerfed, and the bottom lane meta got reformed by many a player, including Keria. So anyway, guys, let's jump onto the Rift here for game number 2 as we are ready for T1 versus KRX. Here we go, game number 2. Definitely got to keep our eyes on that top lane because Varus did get through the draft, and Rich is playing Jax into it.
I'm worried about that top lane. Exhaust is the summoner spell of choice for Varus toppers. Again, we don't see this pick because it is permanently banned. And Varus does a lot of damage. He is very difficult to deal with. He is very safe in terms of his team fight damage later on. And he's just another scaling threat in a draft that already has 2 strong scaling threats in the Ezreal and the Victor. And Keria's Tahm Kench can protect all 3. In the last game draft, I was like, all right, well, they got the Nautilus pick. I thought that was really cool. A lot of other teams wouldn't have done that. And Andil was almost able to set up some picks onto Pays as they're winning the lane. They're winning the lane.
All this. Yeah, gonna get knocked up here. Andil has to flash away. I mean, they get level 2 first, which is interesting to say the least. Pays is like, oh, you want to trade? Let's go. I have lethal tempo. And here we go. Once again, the engage comes in from Keria. But guess who's bottom lane? It is the jungler of KRX. They're looking for the kill on a lazy field, but Willer gonna pick up 1 and make it 2 as level 3 Willer gets down there and saves the day.
I think the words I'm looking for here are probably wholly unnecessary in terms of the follow-up there that we saw from Keria and Pays. Like, they could have just been okay with their tempo lead that they had. They were winning the lane. They were kind of crushing it. Got a kill, and then went a bit too ballistic. Well, I mean, the kill part, I think, was the right choice because they were kind of caught in that situation. But looking for the kill, they got it. So jump scare on that Jax. I guess we'll find out what happens later. As from here, you're in a winning position. From here, you're in a losing position. Because Willer is coming down. They didn't know that. And LazyField's forced to flash. And they end up getting the kill onto the Karma, but it means that LazyField survives. And the lane state there on the bottom side, fairly gankable with this Lee Sin that is now significantly ahead. See what he is able to do here to Doran as well. Doran still has his exhaust.
Yeah, I mean, the Jax at least has good setup with the counter-strike because he gets in melee range. The exhaust does come out. I think Doran's too far away from everything, just dies as Willer says, you know what, I will just put the team on my back and try to make this an interesting game.
Yeah, the position there was great because he knows there's likely a ward on that brush. He's able to hide himself there, let Rich do the engage. Because as Doran, you're pushing up thinking like, well, if Rich all-ins on me, I have exhaust, it's fine. But did not calculate Willer, which has kind of been the story of this game. Again, a third time, did not calculate for Willer. He doesn't have flash anymore, but doesn't need it.
Yeah, he was just top. I mean, they're not expecting Willer to be going crazy solo queue gank level, of course, as well. Here's Owner in the bottom lane, and LazyField will die to Pays. So a nice little win back here for Owner after he farms his whole jungle. But yeah, Willer's basically skipping a lot of his jungle to just go gank every single lane, and T1 are not respecting it.
Yeah, and he's also still got even farm with the Skarner with 3 kills on top of it, so feeling very good about his position in this game. We have a very wonky and low CS bottom lane because of everything that's happened down there and all the aggressive killing. As Keria, yeah, we mentioned that he's really good at this pick.
38 games in a 5 KDA. Definitely quite impressive on the pick.
I just think some of his most impressive games, like, I know that win rate is really high for that many games, but I think he's probably had some higher win rate champs in his career. But like the eye test was always god tier, even in losses on this pick for me. I was always most impressed by it. Next to his Thresh is Andil is baiting here, and Willard still doesn't have flash, but if he can land a kick.
I mean, they know that Willard's down here. They saw him actually go off of the Gromp to just run straight bot, and that is immediately going to ring alarm bells in your head. It's like, oh, he's not farming the jungle. He's coming bot once again. They're trying to set up for a dive, and you can see that the T1 bottom lane plus Owner, who was coming over, are able to get in position to deny it. So UCal going to hit level 6 first by a small margin. As there comes the Storm as well. Faker just going to use that to farm the wave and
Faker has
get it back.
advantage, so this doesn't mean all too much. And just come straight back to the lane, as you were saying. And I don't think Andil sold that very well either on the bottom side, going for the very aggressive route, but what he was trying to look for. Even though there are 3 kills on this Lee Sin, you know, the CS advantage is still there for the Varus. Rich is forced to back here. We'll lose some of that wave as UCal.
Yeah, kind of baiting Owner in here as Willer was waiting for it. The flash comes out. Faker was very low, trying to bait UCal into diving, which led to Owner coming in, but Willer knew that, so he was also there, and he's the one who eventually wins in the end.
A very high action game here. Obviously, a lot of advantages picked up for Lisa. His flash!
Yeah, I mean, he has flash, so if you're in flash range, you're going to die. Faker did not respect that. No flash on the Annie now, I suppose, is what he'll post. Is now a 2v2 in the jungle. Willer is quite strong. Doran trying to get the kill on Andil, but he's just going to flash away and get out of that one as we hop to Peas, who's just running. And Willer gets in, picks up another kill, make it number 4. Keria is here as well. We got a TP in from Faker, and Faker is going to have to flash over the wall. This Mantra W comes in, but no follow-up there from Team DRX.
Valdez, it's been a while since we've had this level of T1 happy gaming.
I feel like they got a taste in game 1, but they didn't. It wasn't enough. You know?
this passage of play here.
It's like having one potato chip.
It's so bizarre to me because remember, Willer is massively ahead, but also like you're a Varus, you can't do that much damage yet.
Speaking of, he is still a Varus, and under the turret, Willer is going to make their lives just a living hell, as he does pick up his 5th kill.
I mean, like, now they can just kind of, I mean, they are just camping him, frankly, and he can't actually be the threat he's supposed to be, even in the lane anymore. He doesn't have a CS advantage, doesn't have a gold lead. Faker's also having a bit of a tough time in lane. UCal's had some really good plays here. The punish flash into killing Faker. Obviously, Faker, once the Q's in the air, can't flash away, so it doesn't flash, but then has to flash in that follow-up exchange because he teleported in aggressively. Which is not the first time this series he's done that, but a little bit riskier this time because he's not in Anivia with a passive available. And so now he's 0-2, doesn't have flash, very gankable. You know what, I'll say it, I think anyone's gankable with this Lee Sin that has 5 kills and Eclipse. Yeah, that's the situation we're in. And Willer is ready to keep pushing the advantage here. Owner finally has his ult. See if he can make something happen here. Is seen on this ward, so unlikely.
Yeah, just kind of has to hover around the bottom lane, I suppose, as they finally cleared out that deep control ward that was spotting Willer over and over again. And I think when your Lee Sin is this strong, you just get the dragon by default, and that's what they're going to do. They go ahead and take this objective down. It's not like on spawn or anything, but it's still relatively early, 8.5 minutes. And maybe he just goes up and picks up the objective. I mean, at this point, you know, his farm is also ahead of Owner, but he also has 7 out of 7 kill participation, with 5 of those being kills. So yeah. He's just been doing everything in this game.
Now we're looking at a world where fairly soon, Lazyfield will have his Bloodthirster and will be able to hold his own in lane. Obviously he has a Karma to back him up, but he's just going to be very comfortable there. And we're looking at, you know, Rich's side lane power, which is getting better and better, which I never thought was necessarily going to be a thing in this game. But with the attention he's been given, he will be a threat. As we saw in that last trading pattern, obviously he still has to deal with Varus things. And I don't have the answer.
Where did Keria come from? I guess he was just hiding on bush. I mean, that's really the only explanation.
Yeah, I guess that's the case, and Lazyfield was just greeting there. Did have his ult. We'll find out. But I think you're probably right. Carrier probably just hiding either in the tri-brush or in the river, and it was not respected. Maybe LazyField saw him backing and thought he completed it, but he didn't. As Doran has friend this time, just one. Carrier is coming up, though.
Doran has friend. We'll see if it works out. As the Impale is going to come through, and the aggro was taken by Willer. A giant shutdown. 819 gold does go over to Owner. As they're looking for more, it's Skarner and Tom Kent's together. And, yeah, not going to continue on that adventure.
Really great gravity field placement here. Yukal's going to challenge, though.
And it's going to kind of run through, as the Annie is quite fast. And eventually, Carrier does come over here, though, as a bit of damage comes in. But the heal is there. The flash lick. And Yukal still on the run. As another lick is going to hit. A couple more autos and one lick could get it done. But under the turret, I think Carrier is going to have to give up on now this adventure. As he throws up an emote and says, I'm having a really happy game. I don't know about you guys, but he's having fun.
I think T1 might lose this game, Valdez, if this trajectory doesn't change. Like, yes, LazyField did die in a quite comical way moments before, but this still doesn't solve all of the other problems around the map here. Yukal is huge already, and I was kind of feeling how this game was going to go was that, okay, Owner, run to turret. But I was feeling like we were going to see the Victor push the Annie out. We were going to see a lot of Skarner attention, both bottom and mid, and that Doran would be, you know, putting the pressure on. Maybe if Willer goes up there, then the bottom lane goes a little bit pear-shaped. But instead, it's kind of been Paze and Carrier got a lane lead, but kind of messed it up as, okay, just did a tricky thing and got behind LazyField.
Wow.
LazyField didn't expect it. I guess LazyField, I mean, I don't know what LazyField thought, actually. But
Well, he dove past the wave outside of vision.
Yeah.
Pretty funky tech there from Carrier.
And here, you know, Willer does give a shutdown over to Owner, but it's a Skarner, so I guess it doesn't matter that much. But the silliness that ensues afterwards, where Faker tries to stop Yukal from getting a wave, definitely does not favor T1. Anyways, let's go back to the normal, exciting gameplay that's happening in this game, where we have 13 kills at 12 minutes, and who knows what'll happen next.
Yeah. You see Doran, you know, if you look at the scoreboard, he's 0-4. He has Swifty boots and red crystals. It doesn't look great, but he's only 300 gold behind the Jacks, so it's actually not that bad of a spot. And eventually, you know, he'll pick up Hexblade. He's going to pick up Dusk and Dawn. He's going to be very annoying to deal with. I think the Varus is fine. I would say that giving all those kills over to the Annie and the Lee Sin is the bigger issue.
Yeah. Owner. Yeah.
Now, just going to flash on in, just doing Skarner things. Nicely done. And once again, you know, in Game 1 it was Rich. Game 2 here it seems to be LazyField. They find the weakest target and they just repeatedly gank him.
I mean, this is really a bunch of shenanigans, right? Like we were seeing, like hiding on bush from everybody. But flashing here was great from Owner. Like LazyField can't 100% expect this situation. If you play like that, Skarner's hiding in the bush and can flash it, push you into the wall all the time, then you just can't even be in the lane, right? So this is a really good play from Owner. As Doran's ult is back up, so Rich has to be very careful with how he trades here. It's really hard for him to push advantages, even with just Swifties and 2 health crystals here for Doran, just because, you know, the turret is the limiting factor. If you get caught and rooted under that, then you're not going to have a good time. He is using the new upgraded rune, the buffed rune, on this Jax as well, I just only noticed. As Willer, see if he can find an angle on a Paze.
Got to be careful when you're going in onto an Ezreal that has a Tom Kent. It feels like it has been quite a while since we've seen this duo, but basically unkillable. You know, it's Ezreal, who by himself is kind of unkillable, and then you have a Tom Kent behind him with Devour. It's like...
And Locket.
Yeah, we used to see this all the time out of, I think it was Ruler with Core JJ. They used to just sit in mid, and Ruler would just like play underneath the enemy's turret, it felt like. And it was just kind of unpunishable.
Yeah. Carrier here trying to find an angle to challenge this dragon, but Owner doesn't have flash, and I think they're just going to have to let this one go. LazyField clears the wave, and there's no cross map here now for T1. So... double dragon here for Q and KRX. Unfortunately for them, again, not the highest roll. It could have been on Soul.
Yeah.
No ult for Doran.
Zoss does come through, and another Counter-Strike. Flash forward from Rich. He gets the solo kill. Nice pickup from him. as that Varus is still just not online, and Storm played a little bit too close.
Yeah, like I said, if you're playing under turret, there's no way that Jax can do anything there, but you're playing out of turret. And when Doran flashed, I guess he was like, I guess I'll trade flashes, because Rich follows 100% there, and he's going to get the turret here, I think, as well. It's a pretty huge wave. A lot of denied minions. Doran, that CS advantage is gone, and the gold lead has tripled here for Rich with a kill on that turret. Kind of quintupled, really, from 300 to 1,500. And suddenly this Jax is a huge side lane. 3 hasn't backed in a while. He's going to pick up some big items here. And Faker is still in the hole as well. So it's on the Kench Ezreal to get this game done here for T1 at this point. Now we know that in this game state, it's really favored to KRX, right? They have a side lane threat. Yes, Misfortune's isn't scaling that hard, but they have so much engage into these squishy targets here. It feels like they can almost just skip the Skarner, as Doran's just way too far up, doesn't have his ult. Exhaust is not going to work out there because Rich can flash on him. But it is T1, right? They're great at playing the map. So I wonder how T1 gets back in this game if they do. And it's going to start with a bit of a contest here.
Yeah, I mean, TP available, and now we got the flank coming in from Rich. The follow-up is there, but it's on to a Tom Kench. Now they're going to have to set their sights on an owner who is going to have everything thrown into him, but eventually the Devourer comes through as Keria comes back in. The shield is there, but Keria just essentially trading his life for owners. And Faker, he TP'd bot, so yeah, I'm kind of confused why they were
that's the thing.
So aggressively for that.
Because Faker TP's bottom, and the second that happens, UCal is like, well, I'm going to TP to the Herald, and we're going to win this fight. And T1 were very aggressively contesting there. And Skarner is pretty tanky, but as we saw there, even a kick from Willer can put him into a zone where he's just going to take too much damage too quickly. As Doran did finish his first item, does have the Hexblade online now, but I am a little bit concerned about this mid game here for T1 as Blackfire Torch is finally picked up here for Faker. Keria and Owner, I think they're so tanky that they can buy some space here for Doran to do the damage, for Pays to show up and chip away, but the fight is just over when Rich goes in. They're way too far forward. And without the victor here, it frankly just is a little disrespectful. Faker just showed his TP right to the face of UCal, and UCal was like, cool, I guess you can have this turret, we'll win the fight. And our gold lead is now 3,000.
And the TP itself is fine if the team isn't, you know, super aggro at the Rift Heralds and vice versa. You know, you can be super aggro at the Rift Heralds if you have the TP available. So you got to choose one. And even then, you know, from behind, even if they do have Faker, it's like, I don't know, guys. Like, do you really take the Rift Herald away from the 6-kill Lee Sin with 2 items? My money would be on no. But T1, they said, you know, maybe we find an angle. Maybe the owner gets a little steal, a little cheeky steal. Does not work out that way. It's now up 3,000 gold looking for Faker as the flash comes in. Willer kind of flashing ahead of the play, and he just has so much damage as, there you go. UCal eventually does have to flash to get the kill.
And LazyField has ult, so he might be able to clear this wave. He's going to have to be very careful about how he does it.
Yeah, I mean, Owner's definitely going to go in for this one. The exhaust taken here by Pays in this game. And it's going to come to great effect as they're able to dive as 3 on a little journey themselves. But KRX are on the chase. They do have Rich going over the wall. I mean, this Jax is just too powerful. They don't have the damage to cut through them. As the CC's there on Owner, Pays trying to do his best to take out Ondil. Gets over to Keria. As now we have the Varus coming in as they are really trying their best to skirmish from behind and still win. As Willer's going to go in, look for a bit more on a Doran. As another Sonic Wave going to land, and eventually with the stun coming in, the Lee Sin can comfortably go down.
Valdez?
Yes.
I think it's going to 3.
Yeah.
This one is done. Like, LazyField cleared almost the entire wave with his ultimate. There was only 1 minion left, so they went ham on trying to get him. 2 flashes were used to kill Faker, right? So if you could make something happen on the cross, look at what's happening on the mini-map right now. Both the Skarner and the Tom Kench are like, sorry, Faker, we're making a play on LazyField because there's no way we can bail you out here. They get UCal's flash as well, and they make the play in the mid where this ult is available. Skarner goes through, Tom Kench looks for the knock-up here. LazyField buys some space with the barrier, but then they, because they're between 2 turrets here with no wave, they go up. And I think they could have just taken a left at the Raptor camp, but Willer was cutting that approach off. Ondil shows up too, and there's just no way out. Like, they committed so much to killing LazyField. And then in the moments like this is why you pick this comp, right? Because you're Pays and Keria, and you're like, we're going to show off our mechanics, but you're super far behind, and you're not having the good time you thought you were going to have. A Soul Point will go over in the interim.
Yeah. Especially, again, you're playing into really fed Lee Sin, who's very strong on this patch, and a Jax, who's really good into 280 carries when that is your main source of damage in that weird skirmish that you opted into. Because now they're looking for Faker once again. The Sonic Wave into the kick, and the follow-up is easy. And a lot of T1 was kind of in the area, just did not matter, as that is the power of Willer on the Lee Sin.
It's funny how when I looked at these two drafts that Q and DRX put together, I was like, oh, like game 1 draft, I mean, there's really something there. Game 2 draft can be a little tricky, you know? It's going to be a little bit tough. I don't know if that Annie's going to get out of the lane. I don't know if Willer's going to be able to make the impact he wants. No, man, Rich on Jax, I don't trust that. And then suddenly, like, little Happy Gaming and Q and DRX are just so far ahead. I don't think this draft could be messed up. Like, it's really strong when you have all these tools with advantages. The Jax can get on the back line, the Annie gets onto the back line, LazyField falls up from a distance away. And the fact that LazyField is 1,200 gold behind means very little when there's so many other threats. And he still layers damage on top of all your good CC.
Yeah. You know, I do agree. I also feel like the Tom Kench pick at the end of the draft for T1 was pretty decent, especially because all of the engage is kind of just Annie Lee Sin, which can be strong in tandem, but it's not like a Nautilus. It's not an Ornn. It's not hard engage per se unless the Annie's got flash. I'm going to hold that thought as KMDRX trying to go for a T1 Baron.
Faker coming up.
And, I mean, they are very far ahead as Rich does have the flank here, but the Impale goes in on a UCal, and he's just going to die for free as the trade is there for Owner at least. Doran does have to flash away as LazyField is getting some value out of that one. Keria trying to go 1v1 versus Rich is not going to win that trade. And you see that T1 do have to back off, but they do stop the Baron at least.
Yeah, they do kill UCal and stop the Baron, but they lose 2 in exchange. I think that at this point, 21.5 minutes into the game, it's pretty tough for LazyField crew to just start this one up again. They don't have the turn tools anymore with no Annie. But this fight initially looks like it's kind of going to be potentially good here for T1. It's Rich who really saves the day. And Doran here is layering a little bit of damage on the side, but ends up getting a bear drop. So he just gets pushed out of the fight, and now LazyField's in a position to actually cut them off as Rich is pushing Carry out. And the fight is just so incredibly split here for T1, and Faker doesn't have that much damage at this stage, and that's the MF 1,200 gold behind, actually still doing more value in that fight than what Pays could do because the fight was broken, because QMDRX have this massive Jax in this game that's sitting on 2 items, and we don't see the Baron yet, but QMDRX's gold lead remains the same. Given a really long time in this game or a big error in a team fight, there is a world where they could come back, I suppose, T1 in this game, but
yeah.
Honor is 2 levels down, as the observers are showcasing here. Willer is almost the most experienced player on the Rift. He has the highest damage.
And he's just like, you know what, guys? We can just do the Baron again. We have our buttons back. UCal's about to get his flash back. I've got kick flash. It's going to be really difficult. I mean, Skarner can find ways to get into the pit. Not as easy from the blue side, actually, when you consider Skarner's kit. But, you know, it's going to be difficult to stop him with just a kick, but a little bit easier because Owner's on the blue side. Just trying to go in the front door as Rich goes in, straight into the back line, flashes away, but the kill's already there as everybody gets stunned by UCal in the bush. And the follow-up from Rich is beautiful as well, as at least the Devour comes in. Some low health bars here on the side of KMDRX as T1 barely hanging on, but still a very good fight here for KMDRX.
Absolutely massive stun there from UCal. Rich gets into the back line and flashes left there, which puts him into safety, but also prevents any real retreat from the rest of the T1 members. There's no way for them to kite it out. As KMDRX, like any good LCK team do, aren't really trying to get the Baron. They're trying to use Baron as a tool to force a team fight here, and they do exactly that. 4-man here from UCal as Rich is ready to close the door, gets on top of Pays. Pays has to be devoured, and QMDRX are like, that's enough. We don't need to force this. We don't need to chase further. We can just go straight back to Baron, which they do have now in live. Already 1,000 gold on the Red Bull power play here. And this lead has moved up to 8K. All right.
Thanks, Wolf. At this point, you know, maybe that's what we need in this game number 2. It's just a little bit of role-playing as Tom.
Keria went in, he saw what he saw, and he said, bleh.
Bleh. Gross.
And I think that's what a lot of T1 fans are probably feeling about this draft right now. DRX are going to bring us to 3. Taking this Ocean Soul now. Wasn't the greatest soul, we mentioned it earlier, but a soul is a soul, and it is very strong for side lane Jax. Just in general, when you're ahead, any soul feels good, just more power. And it spawns the Elder, in case you haven't won the game by then. He's trying to farm his little heart out right now. Does have Spear Shojin, trying to get to a point where he could carry this game. Faker is just so far behind and went for the tankier build here, so just isn't able to do the damage back. Doran has Rage Blade, but like, all of these members are just so squishy. If they kill the Skarner first, which has consistently been happening in these fights, or he just hasn't been there and they've circumvented the Skarner and gotten backline access with his Jax that has so much mobility. Doesn't have flash right now, but very, very powerful. Just went for the standard AD build as well. No Dusk and Dawn this time for the Jax. I think not required.
Gonna throw some stuff at DRX, but Andil pretty fast on this Karma.
Almost death cap for Ducal, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, you know, this game started off and Willer was getting a million kills. Like, really great play from him in this game, honestly. You know, T1 had their whoopsies, but like Willer was like, no, I'm just going to warp this entire game around the strength of Lee Sin and his ability to gank early on. And the fact that T1 were not respecting it, and he got so far ahead. And if he were the only one fed, it would be okay. But he got the Jax fed, he got the Yanni fed. Couldn't necessarily help LazyFeel all too much. Got the early gank, though. And yeah, from there, you know, the Lee Sin, you know, if you're this fed, it's going to be nice at this point in the game, too.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think a lot of how this game was played for Willer was sometimes when you're in a kind of unstable game state and you have a really high power early jungle pick that has a lot of mobility, you could basically call out every lane and be like, will they assume I'm there and play safe? Or will they test the waters? And if I'm there every time, I actually crush them every time. And he did that in all 3 lanes. And that was enough to get the ball rolling here for DRX, but he was the one who picked up the kills, and then he just kept pushing those buttons.
Yeah.
And the Skarner was just not able to match, unfortunately. And when the Victor falls this far behind and the Varus is just a paperweight, it's really easy for DRX, even though their comp doesn't necessarily scale that well. It's really easy for them to just keep putting the pressure on the whole time. Like, they don't have great siege in this comp, but they're like, we could just use Baron to go for a turn because our comp does that really well. And the DRX are making all the right choices this time around with the lead that they have. And it just goes to show, even if you are DRX at 8th place in the LCK, up against defending world champions T1, who just took out Gen G, if you disrespect, you will get punished in this league. And DRX are bringing us to 3 as a result of it. I don't know if T1 is going to be able to pull a miracle defense out of their hat here like they did against KT with Aces of Felios.
You know, I was just thinking, you know, that was the game I was thinking about. If you're a T1 fan, you're hoping for this to somehow be a miracle. It's got to come down to an Elder Flip, right? And that's what happened in that game against KT as well. I think there were some shenanigans prior to directly that Elder Flip happening in that game, but a slightly smaller lead in this one. And another spawning Elders, so maybe, just maybe, there's an angle. I feel like T1 sometimes they get themselves in this position just to see if they could work their way out of it. And they're certainly going to have to dig themselves out of this hole.
The thing is, you know, a lot of the time when you're in a situation like this as T1, you're like, all right, who do we need to kill? We need to kill the AD carry. How can we find an angle onto LazyFeel? If we can kill him, maybe we have a fighting chance. He's not the main problem in this game anymore. He's kind of just extra damage layered on top of all the other problems. Like this Annie that has death cap, does massive damage and basically one-shots anyone she interacts with.
They're really giving FaZe every single little bit of farm right now, by the way.
Yes.
Even Doran, who's also playing an AD carry, is like, no, FaZe, come over here and farm my wave. Even Owner was like, here, there's one ward here for you to take. They really want him to hit that 4th item.
And he will likely hit it this game. Does it solve all the problems? If given enough time, maybe. As Rich also still a big problem here in the side lanes. 2 levels up on Doran, was 3 levels up for a brief moment. I think he's got it. Okay, maybe not quite. He's doing a little fountain dance here before he locks in that 4th item, which we normally see as Endless Hunger, which it is. A huge spike for Ezreal. Get a ton of AD the longer the fight goes on. And that with Shojins, I mean, this is the Ezreal build, right? It's high skill cap. If you hit all your shots, the longer the fight goes on, you were just pounding the enemy team with damage.
Yeah.
It's no longer like poke, it's just brute force almost, late game Ezreal.
Owner's just going to go ahead and face check, looking for the Hail Mary there. Not going to quite hit it, but the root goes in on a Rich. He goes golden at exactly the right time, otherwise could have been in a bit of trouble. And, you know, this is the other part of it is that, you know, some of our better teams, you consider like Gen G or T1, HLE, they get a lead, they know how to end it. KRX still somehow, I mean, I guess they're just waiting for the Elder to spawn and, you know, they don't have the greatest siege as you mentioned, but it is a bit like pulling teeth as Paze is the main character. They're trying to take him out as just going to go over the wall is Keria following there with the wave. And I think eventually, you know, that hope, that 1% chance that T1 gets back in this one is immediately stamped out. As KRX are going to get a kill on both the bottom laners. Rich still hanging around.
I don't think you need to kill Elder to win this one if you just push right now. They've got 2 waves to push in. Owner, no flash. We'll get away because he is Skarner. And we'll see what they decide to do here. I mean, I think they have enough to just end it before Faker and Paze respawn. There's 30 seconds to go. There's an Annie here with Tibbers out. I think you just take this out. GG.
Yeah, they don't quite have the wave clear even with the Varus as the stun goes in onto Rich, but eventually they just kill the Skarner. They're like, yeah, cool stun there, Owner. As it's not going to be enough, KRX will clean up here as they get 27 kills in a 31-minute game to take out T1 and bring us to a third.
KRX have done it again. The rare one-game win they get against a team that no one expects them to beat, no one expects them to take a game off. They're able to do it. I think the draft had a big part in this for T1. A little bit risky, a little bit greedy. They did play Tom Kenshin to Karma. Still got a lead early, still got level 2 first, still played it really well. But they disrespected Willer, and Willer took the game into his hands, and he shook T1 out of it. Faker, some questionable fights, like that fight around their jungle was super bizarre near blue buff. TP'd and had to flash. They just never had any ins in this game. Paze and Keria killing Lazyfield and pushing into the jungle, getting caught there and dying as well. Faker just never getting online, and Rich having a phenomenal Jax game here as well that Willer set up. KRX, you give them the position that they had in this game, and they know how to close it out. Yeah, they played very safe, but they won in the end.
Absolutely, and I suppose that's a graph of the Kium stock. As, after that game number 2, absolutely going to be going way up, but it's a best-of-3 league. You got to get one more win if you want it to really count up here against T1, but they buy themselves a chance as we now have a series on our hands as we head into the break.
야 바로스 노플이야 바로스 노플.
다이브 같이 치자 이거 같이 치면 끝나.
나 갈게.
얘 랭크 절대 없어 이거. 바로스 내가 죽여줄게 저거.
나 가는 중.
타워쳐.
바텀 라인으로 끝내자 얘들아.
한라인 끝낼 수 있어 이거. 캐치 궁 없어 저거 노플에 노궁이야.
바로스 노플임.
확인.
나 그러는 건 막자. 아리 타워부터.
해봐 이거. 쳐봐 그냥.
쳐봐.
타워 쳐봐. 아 바로스 죽이자.
야 얘도 죽여봐. 다 죽이자.
나이스.
가보자.
나이스.
Have a funny game in game 2, and then win game 3 and close out the series. And most people don't remember the game 2 the following week. But we'll see what happens, because KMDRX, they bring a lot of these teams to 3, but they very rarely win the 3rd.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I also think, you know, KMDRX, they have an opportunity here to do the funniest thing, just to get that meme out of the way. But yeah, they might just be able to get game number 3 if they play like they did there. They're not going to have the Lee Sin again. It is Fearless, so, you know, we are going to have to see something new. And already the bans have switched up here for T1. And Sion gone, Jarvan gone. Certainly some comfort with the Sion ban, but might be a little bit of a hint for what Doran wants to play.
Could be. See if the Jace is going to be high prio here or not. The Jarvan and Nocturne bans here. Orianna still available. It could get Orianna first pick here. Like, the Rumble is already gone. The Varus is already gone. So I think you probably just ban the Orianna here as QMDRX.
Yeah, Cassiopeia as well.
Cassiopeia could be a very strong first pick. There's no Ryze, there's no Anivia. Pool is thinned out. They'll ban Caitlyn. So looking for a more stable laning phase here for LazyField. Probably just a Lulu lane of some kind, maybe even Lulu Zeri to come through here, as Orianna's win rate is really high. Cassiopeia in response, but do they get the Lulu with this? Or what is the plan here for QMDRX? Obviously, the lane will be split if you grab part of it right now, but you will have that option on 3 to get the full duo. Instead, a more classic approach here to pick the Xin away from Owner. It is Owner's favorite these days.
Yeah, he's played it 9 times. He's 8-1 on the pick. And KMDRX have, in the past, generally picked pretty early for LazyField, but that's not what we've seen today. It's been Yunara in second phase and then MF in second phase. A lot more focus on to picking the top side of the map. In game 2, they picked Karma because Karma's OP, and then they picked their mid jungle. So it's kind of an interesting swap up in terms of draft strategy from KMDRX, especially when a lot of teams are saying that it really is kind of all run by the bottom lane.
Jace, that I was alluding to earlier, that you kind of set up by mentioning those bans, is going to come through here. This draft is a little weird for T1. Like, it doesn't have a great ball setup for the Orianna, and it gives Rich the opportunity to just counterpick this Yorick here, even though they got the Sion. Doesn't necessarily mean you win the lane. It's a strong counterpick, but if you mess it up early, the Jace can just run away with it. But I mean, I always think about, when I think about Orianna Trundle, I think it was Lucid who did this with Showmaker. Like, he just flashed in with the ball on him, and it's like, okay, I guess he's a ball carrier, but for the most part, setup here is a little bit difficult for T1, and the Cassiopeia and the Xin very, very strong. Sivir ban with the setup here we have with these bans. The Jarvan was taken away. It does make some sense. And Corki, Nami, no longer an option. Lucian is also banned fearlessly in this game 3, so a little bit more open-ended with no Caitlyn here, no Ashe.
You know what is open is Mel and Camille.
True. Pillar synergy.
Yeah.
Jhin ban. I mean, we might be looking at just like some unusual AD carry picks like Jinx, Aphelios. Those types of picks are what's kind of left here. There's no Nautilus. Obviously, Ezreal gone. So, I mean, like, there's a lot of AD carry bans here.
Yeah.
Aphelios
Thresh.
Aphelios Thresh feels good for both teams.
But if you pick Aphelios, maybe the Thresh gets taken away for QMDRX. Kalista.
Kalista feels really good with Cassiopeia. What if Paze and Keria just play Draven Renata? Like, that's something we've seen Guma Keria do quite a lot.
It's not a bad idea, actually.
I think that with the Trundle, it could certainly work. They're just going to opt for the Ziggs instead, it looks like here. Hasn't been locked just yet, but Ziggs Leona might just be what they go for. Also, could see a Ziggs Pike, but blind doesn't feel very good. Ziggs is such a niche pick, but you could see it's normally winning. 7 out of 10, I believe. 7-3. Sona is not really what I had in mind. Seraphine also available.
Yeah. Camille.
Okay, Camille Pillar Synergy.
Ziggs Camille. You drop an ult, and then you drop another ult. There's the Pike.
I think the Pike feels scary blind in a lot of matchups, but when you know the Renata is almost certainly coming, it doesn't feel that blind, and it feels kind of okay. It feels fairly safe. It's going to really be a big test here for Andil and LazyField in this laning phase, where they have been often weak, and he's just going to pivot to Leona. I actually really like this. I think Leona Kalista is still very strong. No bailout value, but great into Pike, can punish, and the damage output of this Kalista is going to be higher than the Ziggs is at all times in the early laning phase. If you don't get burst down, you always win as LazyField. And the Leona locking the Pike in place makes Keria think twice about going in for those combos. So this is a pretty interesting draft setup here. I kind of favor QMDRX. They have one of the strongest mid laners on the patch. They have the counter pick in top lane. They got Xin, and yes, the counter pick Trundle comes over here, but Trundle's synergy with the rest of this draft isn't fully there. We all know T1 is the stronger team, but kind of left a little bit puzzled by what we got in the end from them, whereas I see a pretty robust, strong QMDRX comp on the left side.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes, you know, we haven't seen a lot of Game 3s and Fearless, but you gotta pull out some weird stuff sometimes, especially once we eventually get into Game 5s, but we're not there yet, at least for the LCK. But yeah, I feel like QMDRX did a really good job of navigating, especially the strange situation that was in the bottom lane with all those AD carries gone. And T1 were kind of like, well, we're just gonna go for stuff that we like.
LazyField's Kalista is very good, by the way, for those who haven't seen him play it.
Yeah, he's a Kalista player.
And I think the Renata just didn't really make sense of this draft at all. I'm glad they just were like, no, absolutely not. We're going to play Leona.
Yeah.
Great call.
Much better call here for QMDRX. Curious to see if T1 can get across the line with this draft as we head on to the Rift for game number 3.
미니언들이 생성되었습니다.
Alrighty, game number 3. Not exactly expected when we did come into today, but also exactly what we expected. It's both simultaneously. It's like Schrodinger's T1.
Yeah, or
right?
in this case, yeah.
It's like they're definitely going to 2-0, but also simultaneously, they're definitely going to, you know, happy game 3. And you never really know until you open the box.
Yeah, that's why when my wife asked me, as she often does before I left the house,
when are you coming back?
Coming home early tonight, I said, don't ask me.
I haven't opened the box yet.
I said I don't want to say anything about this. I'm just gonna let it play out.
Yeah.
The answer is that it doesn't look like we're coming home early tonight, Valdez.
Also, even for our second series as well, where it's KT versus Nongshim, it's like, in theory, KT should bop them. Like, it should be a 2-0. Like, you look at the standings, KT's in a really good spot. But we know how KT is, and Nongshim are just coming off of a big victory against KRX and the road to EWC.
Yeah.
I think absolutely we could go 3 games there.
I'm really interested to see how that's going to turn out, as Faker is not enjoying laning into this Cassiopeia early on, as most champs are not.
Yeah. I think a lot of our mid laners, especially Chovy, who feels like he's always on the cutting edge, they realize that Cassiopeia, no, she's just good now. Doesn't have to be played into Rise. Doesn't have to be played in a certain matchup. She can just own lane as she does.
I think
get a nice lead.
A lot of our mid laners who are relatively newer to the LCK, like more like postmodern, I don't know what the term is.
Postmodern era mid laner.
Let's say like 2019 and beyond, haven't necessarily played Cassiopeia that much. She was never like a standard mid pick. She was often a niche counter pick. You know, players like Quad, we all know, right? He's going to pull that one out. But for the most part, it's your Fakers, your Chovies, the big champion Ocean players who have mastery of it. But now everybody knows how to play it really well because it's been so standard in this meta for so long as a counterpick to Ryze, who's been relevant for a really long time, despite a lot of nerfs and phase rush being removed. And so I think that's part of Cassiopeia's mastery going up. But then she got this new rune, and it's like, oh, wait a minute. Like, this pick is broken, and everybody knows how to play it now.
Yeah, and that's kind of the interesting thing with all these big patches we're seeing nowadays from Riot is that some of the picks, they just like ride the meta wave so quickly, or they just get revived by it essentially. Really nice ghoulie wall here from Rich, but he's still going to have to flash away. And another pick that might benefit big time from some of the patches is the Jace. You know, the Storm Raider Surge buff that comes in on this patch, and you know, he was already played a lot. We never really liked this matchup of the Jace into the Yorick, but what does it look like now?
We'll have to wait and see. Might be a little bit better here, especially as Doran starts to get a few more levels in. But so far, it's just been the pressure that you normally see from Jace applied. Oh, no. Ow, pain.
I kind of want to go back to the Keria Tom Kench noise. Blech, blech. That's how I feel about that.
It's what we do as professional commentators.
Yeah, just make silly noises.
Speaking of Keria, he is going to match Andil's Roam here, which is a wise choice. It's actually, I don't know about making a play here. This Leona's face up. Oh, but if they pass like this...
I mean, he could definitely try to burst him down, especially with the Ignite, but the flash comes through, and now Keria has to flash away. Keria's still going to take that trade to gain the flash of UCal, but now no flash, no Ignite for the Pyke.
Absolutely worth. And Faker wanted to turn this into a larger advantage here, but we'll also have to back for safety. Doesn't want the lane to get messed up, so both mid laners will run back as fast as they can, as Rich is starting to turn this one around a little bit here. As Doran's fairly low on mana. I think that's part of this, as neither of these top laners have backed yet.
Yeah. Note that he did go for the Doran's helm as well.
All you need is a hat, and you can beat this Jace.
Hat items are OP, especially in special game modes sometimes, depending on what augments you get. Here on Mayhem and Arena.
Keria lurking again.
He's gonna get the overgrowth and just walk away. And I love how Andil's like, no, no, no. I know how you play this pick. It almost feels like Andil is Keria's like biggest fan. Like this is just some like idea I have in my mind where he just follows exactly what Keria does, studies all of his play, and he's like, no, I got you, Red, and also I'm gonna play all your champs.
Exactly. No, I actually have had this vibe with Andil before in other series he's played against Keria, and I think he's even said that Keria is a player he takes big inspiration from. Frankly, most supports have said that at some point.
Yeah, if you don't, I'd be like a little bit confused, to be honest.
Yeah. But like, I do see what you're talking about here in that Keria has just not been able to get any sort of extra edge just yet, as Andil is always waiting. Now, this is a scary Trundle.
I mean, it's a bit of a 4-on-4. The hook's gonna catch the Rift Scuttler. Good old Scuttle Crab as the flash is there for one, but the other two just don't even bother. We saw Shockwave come through from Faker and Andil and Lazyfield, I think. We're just like, eh.
Yeah, well, Willer has level 6, so I don't think they can push in any further.
Yeah.
I think Lazyfield just wanted to be cautious there, but the rest of the team, I think, was pretty confident that they were not going to be able to do anything post-Shockwave without Trundle ultimate. And that's that. So they got the flash out of Lazyfield, which is relevant for sure, but will not be able to take the fight or the dragon. KRX are not doing anything with this advantage they gained, though. And so it looks like T1 will just be +1 flash and call it a day. As Pays is also in this 1v1, going to have a good time here with the control of the lane he has now, especially with Lazyfield not having flash to close the gap. He just can't reach the Ziggs.
And Keria, a rare sighting in the bot lane. Maybe he's just here to get some XP, you know? He's like, well, I shouldn't fall too far behind on levels, so let me just soak some XP and then go top again. Or mid, in this case. Keria is going to be stopped on his back.
Pyke is so squishy. You got to be careful about, like, tossing these out into Kalista and Leona. Like, if you get stunned and Lazyfield gets on top of you, the Fate's Call follows up, like, you have no flash right now as Keria. You're down a level. He's about to hit level 5, but I mean, this is a really risky set of plays here from Keria. He's trying to pull off here, and it's not going to work out. He's not going to get punished, but they will get the dragon. As with the prio that UCal has right now, he can also come over here and help guarantee. And this is a big win here for QMDRX. Again, all 3 games, they have gotten double dragon. And it looks like this game, at least half of that will go over. Is it going to be 3 Ocean Souls in a row is the other question.
Yeah, could be. And, you know, it's kind of interesting because Game 2 was a little bit of a weird one, right? Like T1 definitely were happy gaming early on. The game got out of hand. Willer got super fed, just kind of took over. And that's kind of the, I'm going to have to hold that thought as Ondil's just going to flash away. But yeah, but that was kind of like the free game that they gave away. But KRX always get like one standard game as well. So does that mean that they just get a standard game here? It's kind of exciting to think about. So they might get it as that combo not going to work out. But UCal does not have his flash, so he's just dead still. First blood. Gonna go over
Lazy
to
Field,
T1.
though.
Yeah, Lazy Field's here, and Owner in a bit of trouble as the Subjugate does come in. And they do get the kill onto Ondil, but a kill also goes over to Lazy Field.
So Pyke gets a kill, Trundle gets a kill, but the Callista gets a kill in return. Still feel like this favors T1, but you know, it's not as good as it could have been. Shockwave combo you mentioned missed, but wasn't that important in the grand scheme of things. So they still had the damage. Now, this matchup's getting a little bit trickier for Doran here. Would love to get that maiden. He's trying. So
I think
funny.
he'll get it, yeah.
But it's going to cost him some health with that wall placement. Fairly scary there, actually, for Doran for a moment, but he is fine. So here, Ondil already has Flash, right? Doesn't have anything he can really do here. Tries to keep Owner at bay. And UCal just drops his ultimate, tries to kite it back. And then Fate's Call comes over. Willer's here, and they know they can turn this. Even without Ondil's flash, he will die setting this up, but it's worth it, I think, in this second exchange to make sure Lazyfield gets the kill. And he's also about to get his first item. Pays already has his Ludens online, and this game it's pretty interesting. You know, I do think that it's very, very close. Even though it's 1,000 gold to lead here for T1, a lot can go wrong in these early team fights into a Callista comp.
Yeah, you got to be careful before your Ziggs Orianna is online. A lot of their 80 damage is going to come from the Jace, but also the Pyke for T1, especially in the mid game. But if this goes very late, I'm curious to see what could happen in that scenario. As Rich under a little bit of pressure here, but just drops the Ghoulie wall, and now we got a TP coming in. No dash available for Keria, but he's just very fast on the Pyke.
Ondil has ults. They have to be really careful about trying to push any further, but they do have the numbers advantage now with Pays also showing up here.
Just gonna send it for another opportunity here, as even with the pillar, Keria not able to land that one, but he has his dash this time. 4 members of T1 in top lane.
Yeah, but there's no answering push anywhere else on the map, so I don't think this is really that bad unless...
All right, they're just gonna go on in, and the Subjugate immediately on Ondil, and he's just made a paper, and ult just not gonna hit anything from Pays. As this is 2v4 for now, but here comes UCal looking to get in on the party as the stun is there, and he's just going to flash out of that one. Kill does go over to Rich, though.
Very messy fight. Felt like for a moment there that T1 were just going to have out-rotated KRX as Lazyfield walked almost all the way up and then went to mid to answer that wave there because he just couldn't get there in time. I thought T1 were just going to get out for free, but ultimately they are able to, with some weird shenanigans here, get something back. As in live, bit of an angle onto Faker, who is low on mana, and it's just going to be pushed away. But this ult here, not great, and then Ondil gets subjugated, and Lazyfield is just so far away that initially it looks like this is kind of doomed. But eventually, UCal is able to run up here, Cassiopeia with boots, I guess, get in there and help take out this kill. Keria is able to escape before anything else can happen, and Doran does get out as well. The kill goes over to Rich, excuse me, on the York, and still a very close game here, but I think that didn't really move the needle that much overall in this one. I think if Lazyfield was pushing solo somewhere else, this could have been much better, or if they had gotten a kill onto Faker in the mid lane, which they did not. They didn't even get his flash there. Could feel like that was something good for KRX, but ultimately really just an even trade at this point.
You can see they're trying to set up vision and position here on this dragon. A lot of members of KRX trying to clear out vision and just potentially fight for the second one. Hook is going to come in. Ondil feels like he's really not that tanky just yet. There's been a couple times where he just gets subjugated and dies, but even the damage from the Pyke feels like it's sticking for now.
And I wonder, you know, as we go later into this game, will Keria be able to utilize his 500 gold lead? Like, will he continue to actually be able to make these proactive plays? As we've seen a lot of games, including one from Carrier earlier this year into D+, where the Pyke just falls off later on, and you continue to try to be aggressive because you're really the secondary form of engaged next to this Orianna, who only has an ultimate to set that up. You do just die if you get caught, right? And there's so much CC here. Speaking of, Faker sidesteps.
Yeah, kind of difficult to lock the Orianna down with all that movement speed. Shockwave comes in. Willer just going to throw a Crescent Guard in and avoid a lot of that damage. Andil, though, once again, just being shredded in the front line as Carrier looking to chase, but not going to find anything.
2 pushing waves here, though, for QMDRX. Can they get Andil?
Oh, that's the max range on the hook, as with the Ignite, you thought he was going to get the kill, but not quite the case. UCal looking to get in there as well, but now head-to-head against the Trundle, not a great spot, but here comes LazyFeel as the kill goes to Willer. And LazyFeel kind of trades positions with Carrier as he goes to his team.
I think if LazyFeel keeps pushing mid, it might have actually ultimately been a little bit better for him there, but wanted to come down and help out the plays. They were super committed to that. You can see how Willer was waiting for his Wind Becomes Lightning across on the edge. As this all starts off with, Owner looking for this play here. The Shockwave comes down. Wasted ultimate here from FaZe. As Andil does take some damage, right? UCal takes some damage, but he lobs it right into the Crescent Guard there. I think if he had just waited and used it later here, could have actually been way higher value. But he's more interested in the turret, as the rest of the team is thinking they're going to get this kill onto Andil initially, but UCal has a great ultimate, forces Carrier to flash, and Owner's damage here needs to be respected, but then LazyFeel goes over the wall and forces Carrier away, and we end up having that trade to come through. As in live, we have a big fight here.
Yeah, LazyFeel is forced to flash away. Carrier, he's not taking over the game per se, but he's still getting tons of value out of the Pyke. I mean, the amount of times he's hitting the Bone Skewer into forcing flashes or forcing awkward moments for members of QMDRX who don't really have a better opportunity to get away. So that's going to be, getting the flash at a LazyFeel and saying, now we're going to just take the straight for the team. See that they're trying to go up to the top side here.
Yeah, I do see a bit of a group here for Herald, and that'll be their attempted cross map, but the timing is a little bit awkward here. Doran gets the TP back, and the rest of the team is coming up. Hayes has his ult back up. I think T1 are happy to deny this and go for a full contest. I mean, there is arguably double smite here with LazyFeel, but this is not a stable position for Kiwoom.
Yeah, they're going to TP in Rich and look for the turret to come in, but a big Shockwave going to put them at bay, and double kill for FaZe as Doran knocks it down with a kill onto the Xin Zhao, and immediately QMDRX, they go face-to-face with a bit of wombo combo. They find themselves on the bad side of that one as in goes Carrier, going to miss kind of everything. But that is okay as Rich is being baited into the fight, and eventually will go down to Faker, who picks up the 4th kill for T1 in the fight.
Yeah, that was a lot of, let's just say, a cacophony of errors here for QMDRX on this one. I think committing to this fight is risky in itself. Look at UCal. He's trying to join, but it's hard for him to actually get in here. Rich teleports into the back of the fight. Then they go for the Fates Call engage with UCal. But everything is spent on blowing up a Trundle, while Doran is doing massive damage on the left side. And there's just so much burst AP damage on the right side. Like, yes, you got 1 kill, but you used everything. And you cannot win the subsequent fight anymore. When the Kalista is dead, the fight is done. As Rich really kind of reaching here to try to put some damage back onto Carrier, and Doran is able to clean him up without a hitch. And at the end of the day, T1 walk away with now a massive 4,500 gold lead and a Herald to boot. So, this lead is actually larger than it says on screen right now.
Yeah, because this is kind of a done deal. I mean, Willer's nearby. Maybe they try to get some kind of pick on someone, but Shockwave available once again. Doran just has to flash away.
And in that last fight, Andil went super deep, tried to follow up when the rest of the team, I think, was trying to leave. He dies. In this fight, sets up a solar flare, but I just don't think there's anything in that fight. I think at this point, as QMDRX, I know you're playing a comp that has the Kalista element to it, so it feels like you're on somewhat of a timer, but you're playing into Ziggs, Orianna, and you have a Cassiopeia. I think you can kind of just slow the game down a little bit here and look for late game 5v5s with your great engage. And you don't have to fight these scrappy fights where T1 are arguably at their strongest right now and keep forcing. Might just be too little too late at this point to try to slow the game down with the lead that T1 have, but I don't necessarily think they had to send it on Herald by any means. UCal.
Oh boy, he is very close to dying. Just trying to survive underneath the turret against Faker is not going to work.
This turret is dead. EU is not, but the turret will be. And in fact,
Oh, man.
Faker checks those.
He's still chasing. I
He
mean,
has
he has
flash,
flash,
yeah.
so maybe would have been able to trade it. Doran does not, but he's very fast.
And also has got Pillar Peel from Owner. Love a little Pillar Peel.
Pillar peel.
Yeah, he peeled them away with Pillar. And oh, he's fine.
파괴되었습니다.
They were like, we're going to catch this Jace. And Owner was like, oh, it'll be pretty unfortunate. There's a pillar in the way.
Yeah. Let me just summon my Trundle over here.
And Paige is going to take this turret out. Oh, I guess he doesn't have Satchel. Hey, he does. He's just trying to use the turret to deny CS while he does it. Maximizing value.
Yeah. Kind of difficult when Lazy Feel is right there, but, you know,
Cool idea.
I admire the effort.
Maybe he'll cancel an auto or two. And
Yeah.
it'll get the job done. Anyways, this game has very quickly lost its appeal as a potential KRX DRX upset win. I still think there's a few angles back in, but it's going to take a long time. So a pretty late Rod here for UCal, so he's going to get a lot of value out of the transformation. And, you know, Lazy Feel building a little bit defensively here into all this AP. I like that. He has done some Mosquito Callistaing in the past, as the fans have liked to call it. This is going to be another one of those more defensive item sets. But again, late game, he absolutely can pop off. If we go like 35 minutes in.
Yeah. I feel like the biggest thing for Callista and team fights is you just need as much time as possible. It's part of why Renata is so good with the Callista, is you just give her a little bit of extra time, land a couple more sticks and get a big rend off and maybe a reset. So if you can survive for longer might be the case that you get some more. As they're
Okay.
trying to set up here for the dragon.
It is Infernal Soul, very much a very relevant soul, unlike our last two games, to fight for, but it is just second dragon apiece for either of these teams. I think for KRX DRX, if they find an angle, they should go in, but trying to hard force, not necessary, as Doran is just getting a lot of value topside. Now he's going to TP in. See if they can rush this down. I don't think so. Herald also here for combat power. KRX DRX wise to maybe step away, but they're so far behind they want to fish.
Yeah, well, there doesn't really have much of a health bar anymore. He's up against the Trundle. We got the flanking Yorick getting in there as the pillar's going to be utilized. Is now Lazy Feel going to try to zone them with the Fate's Call. Might be able to. In goes Ondil. And now we got UCal with the engage, trying to really set something up here. Faker pretty low, but he is going to survive at the end of the day. Ondil the first to go down, and the second will be Willer. They got the dragon, but what will it cost them? We have this TP in the mid. He's on the flank, I guess, from the left side. Carrier trying to continue with things as the pillar does come in once again. But Miasma pretty good at zoning them away. Carrier still here and still looking for the angle. He's not quite going to find it, as Rich looks like he's just going to go the left way and get out.
Looked for a very brief moment like T1 had just been outplayed on the Dragon. They are still going to get those kills, and they are going to get the turret in mid as well, as Faker's able to TP up here and grab some more plate money, but that was kind of scary. And if T1 had continued to try to force the advantage, just hold that thought, Rich is going to, speaking of, try to get an advantage here.
I mean, Faker does have flash, Endy has rocket belt, so he's going to use that to get out of the ghoulie wall, and doesn't want to use his flash, but will eventually the second that Ondil flashes in.
Ondil has Hex Flash, so he's happy to trade those. As this is another one of those fights, a little awkward, but without Lazy Feel here, I think maybe KRX DRX should just back away. In that last scrap where Hayes wasn't able to hit a lot of his Qs, that's, I think, the first symptom of what could happen in a 35-minute plus game is, okay, Doran also going to have to flash. Of, like, what could happen with Lazy Feel popping off in a late-game team fight where the Ziggs just can't match his damage output. Carrier, he's careful, man.
Yeah, he was hiding behind them. I also saw a Ziggs bomb get thrown over the top on the mini-map, so did a little bit of damage to Willer, I think, but Willer is Xinjiao, so doesn't really care too much about that. Still very strong, though, is the Ziggs 3-0-4. Has the biggest lead on the map right now.
I mean, he absolutely will pop off if he hits his targets. As, oh, Ondil
is actually going to have to go on in. And the Shockwave comes through, and Ondel dies. Subjugate, once again, huge value against the Leona. Willer as well, just going to essentially fall over like a house of cards. And, okay, they're trying to play here, but the stun comes through for Keria. And he will be able to set it up. Only UCal getting the one, but it's still a massive team fight win for T1.
That stun from Keria. I mean, without that, there was a chance that maybe LazyField could have fought his way out of that, but he just gets completely shut down as we are way back.
8 years ago.
Yeah, this happened
This fight happened.
I think in 2022.
Yeah.
This is when LazyField was like 15 years old. Actually younger than that. As I don't want to get too into the weeds of breaking this one down because it is a very long fight and we're probably going to jump out of this. Yeah. Because we also have to talk about this fight here. And the most important part of this is how Ondil actually is able to like ping pong his way in, and he gets the subjugate out of Owner, which means that even though Rich is not going to be able to alone win this fight on the right side here with LazyField, they actually have a little bit of wiggle room on the left side because Owner doesn't have subjugate anymore. He doesn't really have buttons, so LazyField is ripping through the health bar, but Keria, the amazing stun there, and UCal then falls as the rest of the team collapses. If this game was closer, you know, like this draft could work, but they just lost so much control of the game early that when we talk about these fights now, they could go, we're just kind of pretending like we're living in a world that we're not, where you want to not 10,000 gold ahead. But like you could see, these players know what to do is my main point. But T1, I think the circus is maybe about to end.
Well, they're going to go deep into the enemy jungle and find Ondil once again. Very sad Leona in this game just has not had much of an effect at all. Keria trying to take a 1v1 against LazyField, stands still and accepts his fate. And it's not the fate's call, as he is the enemy support. LazyField still kiting this one out until he dies. You know, I had hope for a little bit in this game that KRX were going to actually pull off an upset. I saw the angles.
Yeah, no, I kind of saw them too, but it just didn't work out. Like the amount of times they took poor fights with poor setups to give T1 so many angles, and how well Keria played this bike out of the laning phase as well just caused so many problems. And then Pays is suddenly so massively fed that if he hits anything, with Faker hitting anything, even with the defensive itemization, it's just a one-team fight. And Ondil is playing into a Trundle. You know, the Trundle was picked for the Xin, but actually, functionally in these team fights when Ondil's going in first, like, he just doesn't last very long, and he needs to buy more space. If this is a closer game, as Keria takes his hands off the keyboard here and says, well, it is what it is. And then moments later, as we roll a clip forward, LazyField will do the same, as he's like, it is what it is.
Yeah. He did a little circle there.
Yeah, nothing really you could do is there's a Ziggs bomb behind him. Okay, UCal.
Yep.
Flash 2 ults there.
Yeah.
High value. Now what's he gonna do?
Have a Storm Surge here for Faker. I mean, he's really, he's doing the boom boom damage at this point. Willer says, well, I gotta try something. And something he will try, and then immediately die. And so will Ondil. Eventually, there he goes. Keria also going to survive as he's able to go ahead in there and heal up quite a bit. And Rich, the last one here that will go down as T1 this time around. A bit more straightforward than game number 2, although they still had their fun. They were able to, you know, at least set the foundation first before they had their fun.
T1, the circus continues, but it will end in this third and final game as it has in so many of these wonky happy game series where game 2 gets a little fun, game 3 gets a little more competitive as Faker and Keria dismantle LazyField. And it's not a 3-ring circus, it's a 3-game circus that T1 ultimately take in the end. And, you know, KRX gave it a good crack. I thought game 3 was pretty good draft. A lot of angles there. If they had gotten to a stable mid-game, I think they probably could have won that game, but they just simply could not.
Well, Wolf, I'll leave it to you to try to figure out the POM because I don't think there is a good option.
Is it just Keria because he did the Pike game? Is it Pays? It's Pays. Pays got a Penta and he got fed on Ziggs. It's Pays.
Yeah.
It's a boom boom vote.
Okay. I'll allow it.
Owner was a good shout as well. Like, he had a great
Yeah.
Grundle game. Obviously, he had a pop-off game in game 1. Game 2, that's the thing about these types of POM angles. You're like, oh, but in game 2, oh, you're like, oh, but in game 2, this happened. Oh, in game 2, carries Tom Kent didn't really, I don't,
Yeah. I think much like the T1 players, I would like to pretend that game 2 did not happen. And just, if I had a vote, base my vote on games 1 and 3.
That fan sign said Pays was POM, so I guess we're kind of linked up. I think she probably wrote that before the series started, but who knows? You know, maybe she just wrote it real quick right there.
It's certainly possible. Or maybe after game 1, she was like, oh, he got Lucian.
You guys notice, by the way, Faker bows to everyone. He's so polite. He's so professional. He's like, oh, I missed one camera right there. Bowing there as well.
Yep.
The pinnacle of just showmanship, or not showmanship, sportsmanship, but also sometimes sportsmanship, showmanship. Wow. Falling apart.
Sports show.
After Blackfire, Torch, Touch, all of that, man, everything gets ruined for me. Ox, you know, Ox thought he was messing it up, but he wasn't, but I was.
It's a torch, right? Like, it's an item. It's a torch. And then the touch is the death fire, like you're feeling the fire.
Yeah. Death fire, not black fire.
No.
And not white fire or anything else.
Nope.
Even though the torch is purple, by the way, as we've discussed previously, but
It is, yeah. It's part of the purple set of items alongside Ludens and Jack shows and some other ones, no doubt.
the orange just solos him in the mid lane. We didn't really get a full shot of that earlier, but now watching that happen as he TPs in.
Is he calling for a penta?
Not sure.
I don't even think it was possible.
No.
Maybe he was saying
Doran,
something else.
yeah, I don't think so, because Doran got the solo.
Yeah.
So Carrie was unhappy with something,
Yeah.
but I didn't quite catch what it was. Ultimately, a bit of a frantic call here for T1 in this final game. I think they knew they had this game won, but still scary with a Kalista on the other side. But LazyField got shut down too many times. Carrie is stunned in that final real team fight where Kiyomi is still very low chance of winning it, but maybe there's an angle. He just gets shut out. I would not be surprised if Owner or Carrier get this one. Pays, though, did a lot of boom boom and is probably front runner. Hard to say.
Yeah. I mean, even at the end of the day, Faker or Doran could pick it up as well.
Faker's and Nivea,
Yeah.
fantastic in game 1.
It was just like, again, if you just remove game 2 from your mind, because kind of everybody got equally stomped individually on the side of T1, except Pays, I guess, which maybe that was your angle, Wolf.
Yeah,
he was like doing really well in game 2, actually.
I think, like, if you're a palm voter, most of the time you should vote for the winning games only, but sometimes it gets in your head. Sometimes
Yeah.
I can't vote after what I saw.
Well, if there were like 2 players that played really well in both of their wins, but also one of them had like an awful third game or whatever, then I think, you know, that makes it a little bit easier. Maybe then you kind of factor in the third game, you know?
Yeah, but that didn't happen for this third game.
It was an equally bad game too from all of them.
Faker had 2 great games, so did Owner and so did Carrier, but yeah. I think it probably is a split vote, but it feels like this might almost be the when in doubt vote Faker angle, similar to Chovy, because
or Carrier.
He's a god. There he is, literal god.
Actually, he's a demon king.
Yeah.
Unkillable.
Yes. Also, I thought, no, he didn't. Well, I was like, I'm also bowing to this camera guy as well right here before he does the interview to be very polite and respectful, because he's a great guy. And I don't know, I will always glaze Faker pretty much forever.
Yeah, you and a lot of us. But guys, we do have the interview for the POM who is Faker. I'll hand it over to Deer for the translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Deer for the POM interview translation, joined by Faker on the side of T1, who just got a 2-1 victory. Congratulations! Well, you clinched Legend Group and also secured your 11th victory. How do you feel? I don't think we had a great result and outcome during the early season, but just being able to confirm Legend Group and winning today makes me very happy. And KRX was quite resilient too. And with the 3-game series today, what was tricky about them? I think for game 2, the enemy was playing quite aggressively. And I think they gave such unexpected, they took unexpected pathing that actually worked very effectively. So those were quite tough to deal with. And in game 1, we got your Anivia, and all those wall plays must have been so frustrating for your opponent to deal with. So what is your method of piloting Anivia? Nothing special, really. I think for walls, I think you just have to put it in the right place at the right time. And at the end of game 1, Pace got a pentakill, and the entire team worked together for that pentakill when you guys could have easily stolen away. So why was that? I feel like the right answer is always to yield the pentakill. That should be the norm. And, you know, in the past, I have gotten my pentakill stolen before. And, you know, just seeing Pace take the pentakill, it felt like he got it so easy. It was really fun. And in game 2, the enemy Lee Sin took fast tempo early with roams, making the game very challenging for you guys. So what was the feedback like, that loss? I feel like our team did the best that we can in the given situation, but I think it was just that the early game snowballed way too fast against us. And in game 3, you guys really shook the enemy up. So in game 3, what was the heart of your team's macro? I think for game 3, we had actually invested a lot into the top side and the mid. So I think those were quite effective that actually let us take a smooth victory. You got a POM today, Faker, and actually there was a fan who said that if Faker gets a POM, they'll do the catch dance. So do you want that, Faker? Would you like to see one? Well, I guess for myself, I mean, if you make that promise, I'm sure you have to carry through with that. Okay, let's go. Oh, he is standing up. He's serious about it. Can we give him the rhythm? And no? Can you give him some encouragement? Fighting. Wow, lots of fans here. We're so excited about your POM and they all sent you that energy. And with T1 being on a 5-winning streak momentum, your next opponent is Hanjin Brion, who is actually also is on great momentum. So what is your read on Bro's performance? You know, going into round 2, their performance has been very great. And of course, they're not an easy opponent. I think no matter which team we are against, we always have to be on alert, and we want to make sure that we are well prepared for our next upcoming match as well. Congratulations once again. That's all from Faker, and back to the space. Thank you.